Jay here, welcome to Models Memories Weekly, episode 227. Models Memories is a show about nothing and is filmed in front of a live studio audience. This is a show where we're talking about painting, modeling, and wargame experiences from the week. Now you might be thinking to yourself, Jay, you put out 3 videos a week. Ow! Could I possibly have more to say? Well, I do, and here goes. This week, I've been going hard into the rumors and the article about what's going to happen with the new Black Templar codex, because I'm really excited for the Black Templar codex. It's not technically a codex, it is a codex supplement. So technically, in theory, you're supposed to have a copy of the Space Marine codex in order to use this new expansion. Fun fact, you don't actually have to have the Space Marine codex. I've been playing Space Marines all 10th edition, and I do not own the Space Marine codex, but there's been the internet, the Black Templar community is in a tizzy because it does seem like the new rules for Black Templars is not blowing anyone's hair back. It's not flim and flams, it's not jingling jams. I do think that the rules do look a little bit meh, but I do think there is some really exciting juice to be found, and we don't have the full codex yet, so we don't get to see every single thing in context. But so far, it's okay. It's maybe okay. The thing about Black Templar is we probably have the best Space Marine detachment in Righteous Crusade. That's not technically true, but we do have the Righteous Crusade is an incredibly generous detachment that gives you a lot of really, really powerful special abilities. It's also got great enhancements, it's got great stratagems, and you also get Oath of Moment, which is just the Space Marine generic. You pick something in your command phase, you pick an enemy unit, and that enemy unit you get to reroll all hits against. Beautiful, and I believe it's all hits in shooting and melee, so it's a really, really powerful ability just to get on top of any other special abilities. And the Black Templar they get to take a vow, and you pick one of these at the start of the game, and then you've got it all game. Some of them are better than others, but I've taken them all except for the anti-psyker one. The anti-psyker one, you should probably use it if you're going up against Thousand Suns and nothing else, because there's not that many psychers in the game. So it's really not that big a deal. I guess Grey Knights have a lot of psychic units running around. I feel like it'd be mean to use it against Grey Knights. I feel like it's okay to use it against Emperor's Children. In a recent Rogue Trader tournament I played against Emperor's Children and they almost tabled me. So I feel like it's fine. I give permission to use that ability against Emperor's Children. The vows that we can currently take are Suffer Not the Unclean to Live, lethal hits for melee weapons. It's short, it's sweet, it's simple, it's really, really, really good. Uphold the honor of the Emperor, feel no pain 6-up, and a leadership characteristic 5 on all of your models. So basically you never fail battle shock checks, and 6-up feel no pain is kinda spicy on all of your models. So like Redemptor Dreadnought has a 6-up feel no pain. This is very often taken with a big blob of Terminators, and then you take Tannheiser's Bones, the enhancement, and that bumps it up to a 5-up, which is a big Black Templar brick of Terminators with a 5-up feel no pain. So they got a 2-up, 4-up, 5-up. It is wonderful. It's kind of a giant point sink. It can be worth it if you have Assault Terminators, but just with regular Termies, it's kind of overkill. It's like a third of your army going into just spicing up that unit, and it's arguably worth it, but I really, really like it. Abhor the Witch, Destroy the Witch. 4-up invulnerable save against psychic attacks, and your weapons equipped by your models have anti-psyker 4-up. That is very, very good, and kind of mean how specifically targeted it is against psychics, but it is very fluffy and flavorful. And then accept any challenge, no matter the odds. This is the one that I usually take. Melee weapons have sustained hits 1. Also, it's just really, really good. All melee weapons, sustained hits, exploding 6s, Brutalis Dreadnought, Redemptor Dreadnought, just regular chainsword attacks. Getting exploding 6s is really, really good. Until now, that has been our detachment ability, and it's a really, really good ability, but now they've taken they've kind of taken that the bones of that, and they've extrapolated it to replace Oath of Moment. So now Black Templar are no longer like kind of Ultramarines, but black instead of blue. We now, instead of getting Oath of Moment, we get one of those things, and they've changed all of those things a bit. Now, Abhor the Witch, Destroy the Witch, the anti-psyker one, is reroll charges against psykers, and your weapons have precision against psykers. That's not bad. I mean, it's not as good as it was, but precision is actually kind of interesting, so that you can just pick out all of the different psychic characters in like a Thousand Suns army. That's actually a pretty valuable ability, because if you can start dropping those sorcerers, the army will start to crumble, which is really nice, but overall, that one is probably not gonna get picked ever. Then there is Accept Any Challenge, no matter the odds. Each time this unit makes a melee attack, if the strength characteristic of that attack is less than or equal to the toughness characteristic of the attack, add 1 to the wound roll. A lot of words, but if you're getting attacked by something that is stronger than you, you get plus 1 to the wound roll. That is actually really, really spicy. Plus 1 to wound roll is really good. And again, this is just anytime you're punching something that is tougher than you are. And so like, if your Rhino is charging into something, you could be getting plus 1 to the wound roll. Dreadnought's getting plus 1 to the wound roll. Every single guy that's holding a chainsword or a power sword is probably getting plus 1 to the wound roll all the time, every time. Like, there is definitely some serious power to that. That is interesting and exciting. I think Blobby Chainsword Black Templar is gonna be kind of the name of the game, which, I mean, that's kind of always what it's been, but I think that that is a really, really powerful ability. One thing that is a little annoying is with Sword Brethren Squad, where we have a weird mixed loadout of melee weapons. You're gonna have to keep track of, okay, so my Lightning Claws and my Power Swords are gonna get the plus 1 to wound, but my Thunder Hammer is not gonna get the plus 1 to wound because Strength 5 versus Strength 8. So you will have to keep track of that, but you always had to keep track of something because of the mixed weapon options. So there's just that little tiny bit of annoyance, but other than that, that is a really, really spicy one. Suffer not the unclean to live, fall back and charge. And then there's a rider. Okay, this one, I remember I had to read this a couple of times. Each time a model in your unit makes a pile-in or consolidate move, it does not need to end its move closer to the closest enemy model, provided that it ends its move as close as possible to the closest enemy unit. So this one, I had to draw it in my brain a couple of times, but basically it just means that you can pick what unit you want to consolidate into, as opposed to having to move directly towards the closest enemy model. I don't know how often that's gonna come in handy. I play 40k somewhat competitively, but I feel like even at like competitive events, people are a little fuzzy with the charge phase, just because it's hard not to be. It's hard. The charge phase is actually kind of complicated, and it is hard to like perfectly move your models and make sure that things either happen or don't happen depending on exactly what you want. Usually, because you have that 3-inch consolidation after you've done charging in before you throw your punches. So usually that means everything gets into combat. So usually I'm not a huge stickler for like, wait a second, that guy is not within 1 inch of a model who's in base-to-base contact with me, therefore they don't get to punch. Like, if everybody had been paying perfect attention, we all would have moved exactly perfectly so that everything would have made it into combat. So usually it's just fine. Just attack with all of your guys. They all would want to punch. This ability just gives you a few more options in the fight phase, which is good. Fall back and charge is a very powerful ability. We just saw that with the Emperor's Children. It's a really strong ability, so there could be some really fun, interesting play to that. But it's probably not as good as +1 to wound. And then Uphold the Honor of the Emperor. What does this one do? At the end of the command phase, oh yeah, sticky objectives! Sticky objectives for all of your infantry. That is really, really good. It's not a sexy ability, but it is a very good ability. Especially Space Marine armies, you run out of models kind of quick, so if you have sticky on all of your infantry, that can be a huge help. I just went against Death Guard, and they had sticky objective, and it was really, really annoying because he didn't have any models on objectives, but they were still all his because of sticky objective. It was a little bit of a problem, and I was playing Necron, so I was really slow, so I wasn't able to run up and tag those objectives and get them away from him. So these are what you get instead of Oath of Moment. Pick a target, get reroll hits against. Are these worse? Some of them aren't blowing my hair back, but some of them, accept any challenge no matter the odds, does seem to be really, really good. And I am really interested in playing with +1 to wound on a lot of weird stuff. So that one has definitely got me intrigued. Also, one really interesting note is Righteous Crusade isn't getting thrown away. I'm sure, I haven't looked that hard into how it happened when Space Wolves got their codex supplement, but I don't think it replaced Saga of the Wolf. I think nobody was playing that detachment, but if Righteous Crusade it kind of exists as it is now, and then I get to put this on top of Righteous Crusade, that could be pretty spicy. Although, to be honest, I don't really want to play Righteous Crusade anymore because I've played it like 50 times. And so I'm about ready for a new detachment. One detachment that I don't think gets enough love is the Grotmis detachment for Black Templar, Wrathful Procession. This one is not as good as Righteous Crusade, but it is really, really interesting. At the top of each turn, you get to pick one of 4 special abilities, and the special abilities are really good. One of them is just straight 2 inches of extra movement. Like that's kind of wild. All of your Marines have movement 8. Your Dreadnoughts are getting a little bit of extra movement. Like that is pretty spicy, especially in a lower point game. Like if your Space Marines are just kind of zooming, that's a really, really fun ability. Another one is a 5-up invulnerable save against ranged attacks. That is also just kind of spicy. That one, it would definitely, I think early game, like turn 1 and maybe turn 2, I do the +1 or the add 2 inches of move. And then late game, it's the 5-up invuln all day, all night. And then I think that's just a really, really solid ability. And then Wrathful Procession also has some really, really good stratagems. One of them is precision attacks for melee. That's really good. Oh, and then one of them, I think it's an enhancement. Yeah, Sacred Rage. Fights first, but it's a fights first that you get to just call upon. And so like, you know, you take your big blob of Crusaders with just a random captain in there, and then all of a sudden you get charged by Khorne Berserkers led by Karn the Betrayer, and it's gonna be a problem. All of a sudden you just pop the fights first, and then you get to punch, maybe even spend 1 CP for the precision attacks. Oh, is that worth it? Because I think Karn might have a comeback mechanic. He might have a resurrect. No, I don't think Karn has that, but there's something with World Eaters that messed me up before. But just fights first is really, really powerful. And then precision on melee, just for 1 CP is also really good. I really like Wrathful Procession detachment. It is a really, really fun one. It's just kind of a funky, fresh Space Marine detachment, and I really like it. We don't know that much about what the 3 detachments for Black Templar are going to be out of the new book. We know that one of them is built around units that have the ancient keyword, i.e. the new model that's coming out for Black Templar. It feels a little lame that there's an entire detachment built around this new model, although that might not necessarily be true because there's also Ancient and Terminator armor, and then there's just generic Space Marine Ancient. So in theory, you could have a lot of Ancients in your Space Marine army. The Ancients get -1 to be hit. Yeah, if the strength characteristic of the attack is greater than the toughness characteristic of the unit, subtract 1 from the wound roll. So yeah, -1 to be wounded for units and models carrying the flag. And then you also get, the Crusader Squad's Righteous Zeal move. So this I did not recognize, but it is rumored that well, probably not because this is a picture of the rule, but Crusader's datasheet no longer is reroll advance on charge. It's now gonna be a surge move very similar to Khorne Berserkers. Now, Khorne Berserker's surge move is an oppressively powerful ability, and so it'll be interesting to have that on my Black Templars, but it's a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. That could be really, really spicy, and this detachment gives you a little bit better move with that little surge move. It's an interesting one. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of lame that one of the big benefits is going to Flagman, but the other benefit going to all of your infantry essentially in a Black Templar army could be really spicy. There is an enhancement called Refusal to Yield, where if an ancient dies for 1 CP, it didn't die. You just stand them back up. That is really, really good. It'd be better on anything but an ancient, because an ancient is like a little 4 or 5 wound space marine that is like 55 points and is not at all hard to kill. But it's a little something, especially if you need it to pop off your actual detachment rule. It could definitely be something where your opponent tries to precision out your character, and then they do, but then he just stands back up. And then I have to read the 44-page FAQ to find out that does he stand back up still attached to the unit that he was originally attached to? I really hope it says yes, because if it doesn't, that's really, really annoying. Games Workshop also gave us a little flavor tease of the other 2 detachments. One of them is called Companions of Vehemence, which is apparently going to be reroll charges and advance rolls. And then the Godhammer Assault Force is going to give your guys a little extra something something if they disembarked. Now, if that little extra something something is disembark and charge, oh, we're cooking. The Land Raider Crusader lets models get out and then charge in the same turn that they got out, and it is wonderful. But a Land Raider is like 220 points. It is a monstrous investment to be able to get that ability. I've played with the Land Raider a bunch of times. It's always fantastic, but it does always feel like I have a Land Raider shaped hole in my list that it's the Land Raider doesn't do a whole lot else besides chauffeur some models around. And then just park itself on an objective and explode. Usually that's what ends up happening. But like if I can be hopping out of rhinos or impulsors, like that would be, I will, if I can charge after getting out of a rhino, I'm getting my rhinos off of the shelf, dusting them off, giving them a new coat of paint, and it's gonna be Rhino Central. It's gonna be Taxi Cab Space Marines. That would be a really, really fun ability. I am really, really looking forward to the Black Templar Codex. I think the rules, they're different, and some of them don't like make me super excited, but some of them make me really excited. And so I'm really looking forward to getting some new detachments to play with, getting my Black Templar just kind of recombobulated. A Righteous Crusade, as much fun as it is, you run it like 30 times in a row, it starts to get a little old. So I am ready for some new ways to play. But speaking of ways to play, 40K is not my only war game, and there are some new things coming out for Infinity. I really like Infinity, and I have been slowly working on my Pan-Oceania force. I've got so many things on the painting desk that it is actually ridiculous. Oh no, I have 3 different games right now that are like 75% painted, maybe 4 if I include my Necrons. But the new things coming out for Infinity are pretty spicy. We got some new paint sets for the Nomads, which I really enjoy the Nomads. And this one comes with a paramedic. I think all of the paint sets have come out with a paramedic, which is actually a really good get because you don't get one in like the normal grunt box. And so just getting to have a medic, I mean, Infinity is a little bit where you can kind of just like nominate a model to be the medic as long as it's like a regular guy. Like for my Pan-Oceania, it's the Fusiliers, but I do have to buy the Pan-Oceania paint set because I do really like the medic that comes in that box. And he's got the little cap, what's it called? Beret, he's got the beret like Jamie Heineman from Mythbusters, and I paint them all red, and I like to have them on as many of my Pano guys as possible. And so I do want to get that paint set. This Nomads one comes with the good old fashioned paramedic, and then the one for Yu Jing, which is the China faction for Infinity, also is a really, really nice little paramedic. I actually like the mini more than the box art. I appreciate though that the box art gives you like a little bit of a different, like an action pose in the midst of combat, but you get a lot of oranges and yellows because that is the thing with Yu Jing. Moving on to the new miniatures, the Iguana back from the dead. The Iguana is a famous model for the Nomads. I have one, I was gifted it by a friend, and I have been holding off on painting it up though because I'm missing the tail. I might either green stuff a tail or figure out a way to like smooth over his butt so that you just don't notice that his tail is missing. But this new model is actually a little bit of a different look than the old iguana. He's much chunkier and denser. He's still got the same humongous rifle, and he apparently has an ejector seat, which I would assume all of the mechs probably have some kind of an ejection system to get the pilot out of there if need be. But he does look large and in charge. I also like that he's got these kind of shoulder things that remind me a little bit of like the medieval or like not Victorian, like Renaissance, where they had those big ruffles on their shoulders. I feel like this model would actually look really good with they're not outcasts. What are the Sisters of Battle for Infinity? They're a part of the Nomads faction, and they're very Adeptus Sororitas. Although they already have, I think it's called the Stigmatic Mech, something like that. That model is really, really cool, but I feel like the iguana would also kind of fit in there nicely. The other new model coming to pre-order soon is the Jotums for the Pan-Oceania, but not my collection of Pan-Oceania. This is for the winter theme, the Winter Force. This guy is large, he's in charge, he's thick, he's got a humongous backpack, and is that a combi rail? Is a combi flamethrower? I think. I do like the flamethrowers in Infinity. This guy is really, really big, but not sleek at all. It seems like the Winter Force. My guys are kind of set on an alien planet, but if I had, there's a bunch of different parts of Pan-Oceania that's kind of got me interested, and the Winter Force is really cool. Seeing everybody bundled up in their tactical coats. And then this guy who's a robot who's also kind of wearing like a winter coat. It is a really, really cool model. And then setting your models in a snowy environment always just kind of works out. It's a pretty easy basing scheme to do, and it's really, really effective. Infinity keeps coming out with really cool stuff for the Nomads. And Nomads are kind of, I've put them off a little bit because right now I'm learning on Pan-Oceania, and then I think I'm gonna do a little Hak Islam. And then I'm gonna do my Nomads because I just kind of like everything in Nomads. And so I'm kind of holding off until I really, really know what I'm doing so that I can build the perfect Nomads force, maybe a couple of the perfect Nomads force. Big things coming for Warhammer 40,000, big things coming for Infinity. Also, did you guys know that there's some big stuff available at EonsOfBattle.com? EonsOfBattle.com is the place to find our merch like the Nick and J dice. We've also got wet pallets, water slide decals, and basing toppers and bits. And it's also the best way to support us doing what we do with a membership. Each month, members get a credit that they can use on our new monthly terrain packs or any previous pack we've ever made. This month, we have the Faraway Galaxy Bundle, a battlefield's worth of sci-fi buildings with a clever removable door and roof system for easy access. These buildings print easy and are perfect for cutting a battlefield into a dangerous urban maze. There's also plenty of cargo containers and barricades, including the XT6 cargo sled, for moving all these accessories around the war zone. This set is perfect for quickly setting up a thematic battlefield on any system, planet, or moon. This set is on EonsBattle.com for the month of July, and then it'll be gone. I have been painting like an absolute fiend, but I might have to set some of these projects aside for the time being, cause I need the Black Templar. When that codex drops, I'm gonna be playing some games without Righteous Crusade. I won't even know what I'm doing. I mean, I've played most of the vanilla Space Marine detachments. My favorite is Vanguard Spearhead, the Raven Guard detachment. I really like guerrilla tactics and some of the funky abilities you get to do in that detachment. But, I mean, if there are Black Templar specific ones, I gotta play those. Thanks for watching.